Hello everybody and welcome back to another AOR stream. We are in round 8 of the AOR PC GT3 Elite League Tier 1 and it is only 3 races to go in the season. My name is Fizzy and I'm going to take you through this race at Hockenheim. Unfortunately not with King-Kodiak this time, he is having to sit out this one. He is in the stream chat though, I can see, which is cool. But in his place for the commentary box is Mr. Stevie SQ.
Hello! It's me again. You'll get used to hearing me by now.
Indeed. Maybe a little bit too used to hearing you. But we have some great racing content to get into for this Hockenheim race. And make sure you check out Elgato Gaming for all your stream content and streaming and recording equipment needs, including the new Stream Deck, which lets you evolve your gaming broadcast. Check out more from Elgato by clicking the link in the description of this video. But let's now jump out to the race here at Hockenheim. Unfortunately, with a slightly depleted grid for tonight, only 16 drivers, it seems, has managed to take to the track at the Hockenheim ring. Which is a bit of a shame to see. That's by far the lowest grid we've had, at least while I've been commentating. Unfortunately, I've had to miss, of course, the last 2 weeks. But I don't know if Steve, if you can say anything about what attendance was in the last couple of races.
That's assuming I can remember what happened last. Well, I remember what happened. I don't remember how many there were because memory, like I said, I'm looking at results from last week, and we had at least 17 last week because I saw someone finished in 17. So there definitely was at least 17 cars. It's a slightly reduced grid, yep, but there are times out there that are looking very close, and it's GT3, so it'll always be close and ridiculous, I'm sure. Okay, Popsy's reversing back into his garage.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's time to have a look at the times, because we only have 3 minutes left in this qualifying session. That's lasted for 7 minutes already, and we can look actually at the top of the sheets. It's a new second place holder pushing Popsy down. Jardier has just put a time in to go second place, but it's Heidi, the Italian, that is leading the timing sheets at the moment in this qualifying session. And of course, Heidi and Jardier are 2 main championship contenders remaining in this season after Storm unfortunately having to pull out after the first 5 races. Just a big shame that it was looking like a really feisty 3-way fight for the championship between those guys, but it's only Heidi and Jardier left. Of course, doesn't make it less feisty. It's only 9 points separating those 2 at the top of the championship. And because I didn't get to watch the race last week, but I looked at the results and it looked pretty close. Only a second and a half separating those 2 at the end of an hour-long race. So hopefully it'll be just as close as that today.
Incorrect. It was actually an hour-long race last week because it was the other reverse championship grid race last week at Catalonia. So there you go. You clearly didn't look at the results well enough, did you?
I don't know.
Did I?
Oh, that's a big crush incoming. Zenny. He's sitting 4th. He's doing a good job, he's then in this session, but that wasn't such a good job for turn 1. For the last couple of rounds, he's kind of been mid-packish, but that's looking like he's a bit further up this week. Last week we had a tremendous scrap between Heidi, Jardier, and Popsu. At one point, running all 3 within lap times within 200ths of a second of each other, absolutely obliterating the rest of the field. And we had like 4 or 5 different race leaders at that race as well. It was awesome. But Heidi came out on top for a 2nd win in a row. Jardier with a 2nd place for the 2nd time in a row. And I'm sure he's going to want to change that because Heidi is fast catching him in the standings. Yeah. As I said, it's only 9 points between them, isn't it? So it could very quickly change at the top. So Heidi having won the last 2 races. I'm seeing.
Yeah. On
the standings there, Jardier won the race before that. So they both know how to win races in this league, and they both know how to take pole positions at the moment. Heidi looking best at it, but he's not on the track though. He's back in the pits. Is Heidi? He's not going to improve his time. Jardier is out there doing laps. So is Popsu. So is Zenny. So is everyone else, bar Nagarum and Hunter. So only 3 drivers that are back in the pits with 18 seconds of this session to go. And let's
clearly, Heidi is very confident in what he's done.
Yeah, he must be. A 36.7. That was ironic at the hairpin.
Serious oversteer.
I think that's going to make it hard for him to improve on his 9th place he's got at the moment. Qualifying is been complete, but of course all the drivers on the track at the moment on a hot lap can complete that lap before the session is over. Let's go back to Jadier, I think, because he is entering the final sector here. It's between him, realistically, between him and the Heidi for pole position. Maybe Popsu as well as an outsider. Popsu has taken pole at least once this season so far. But Jadier only has a few more corners to go. It looks nice and steady for him in the Audi. Going round the final couple of corners now. Nice line there, hitting all the apexes he needs to. Back on the main straight. Will Jadier dispose the Heidi for pole position here at Hockenheim? It does improve his time ever so slightly. Jumps into the 36s with a .999, but it's not enough. 2 tenths behind his championship rival. And Popsu is back in the pits as well, has not improved from 3rd. Zenny might still improve. He's got a slightly damaged front of his car, of course. That would be from back when he smashed the wall after turn 1. He still has quite a bit of the lap to go, though.
Coming into this very fast but very tight and very fun final sector now. So, hopefully he won't do what somebody else did earlier in this session, which just before the broadcast started, where Alexis pulled a Vettel on and off in that little hairpin in the middle of that final sector.
Well, that's hope it's not the case. It's he stayed on track here through the final couple of corners. Will improve on 4th. He needs a 10th to get out of Popsu, and he has not done it. So, fine man to go back to the pits. Still a good starting position though for Zenny in 4th. And then Liam the Sick One is back on the grid. I don't know if he was here the last couple of races, but I've gotten the habit of him being here whenever he feels like it, occasionally.
He was here at Brno and gave his teammate Jadier a hell of a fight for 2nd place. It was very
really?
Yeah, but he wasn't here last week.
Okay. Then Scott, of course, has been consistent this season. Still going to be starting 6th. He's getting 4th in the championship, as I'm seeing an interesting screen. But here you have your final qualifying classifications, and the Heidi taking a big step in the championship fight with Jadier. He's 9 points behind in the standings, and he's going to be ahead of him at the start of this race. And Popsu, Zenny, Liam the Sick One also in the top 5. Scott, Alexis, Nagram, Ironic, Bo has qualified in the top 10 ahead of Col McCoy, Mr. Van Omen, Nesterovic quite far down, 2 deaths back, the Hunter, and Berserker, who seems to have changed away from that Renault that he started the season with. He is driving a Mercedes, if my car icon if you can see the car icon correctly.
It is correct. He is in the Mercedes now. He's been in that since Le Mans. Interesting. What I find interesting looking at that grid is the Hunter down in 15th. When in the Touring Car League, he was at this very track.
Yeah.
He was fighting for the win, and he's down in 15th.
Is that... well, it could be down to many factors, really. It could be him not being quite as good in the GT3 cars as he was in the touring cars, or it could be the fact that the quality of the field in general is higher in the GT3s, but either way, it's not been a great qualifying for the Hunter. We know that, you know, all the drivers in this league can pull off some great skills at times, but of course some a little bit more frequently than others. So I think that we are going to have a quick look then at the standings while we wait for the formation lap to get underway. So here we have the standings in the top PC GT3 league with 3 out of 10 races remaining. So as I mentioned already, Jadier are leading the way by only 9 points over the Heidi, so that's sort of the main fight that we need to keep an eye on. It's cool to have a championship fight this close, and I just hope that both of them can finish all the 3 races, you know, not have any issues with connections, with anything else, and just have a nice, straightforward fight on skill between those two in the final 3 races. And I think both of them are motivated to take this home. Unfortunately, Storm there in 3rd place, 49 points behind. He's not going to get any closer, having been forced to pull out of the league. And then Scott in a very solid 4th place, but you can see on the gap from 4th place down to the top 2 that it is a 2-horse race for the championship. Of course, there are battles further down. Scott and Popsu for 4th place. Zanny trying to catch Speed Demon for 6th, and then Binder Nagram Villalobos close as well further down. I'm sure further down the standings as well, that we don't see on these graphics, there will be close fights going on. So you can hear the cars are on the way, but it's only for the formation lap, so we still have a bit more time. So I'm going to quickly show the team championship as well, with 3 races to go. And that is Virtual Drivers by TX3 with Popsu and Storm that is actually leading. But of course they have lost their top driver in Storm, so it's down to the Heidi and Villalobos and Jadar and Fisifan91 to try and close that gap if they want to take the team championship. Of course, the Italian job was only just having 1 driver on the grid today with the Heidi, and for actual vision, they've got Fisifan91 quite far down the field. But of course, when it's only 16 drivers in the race, that means he's still going to get some good points if he finishes.
Absolutely. Looking at the championship as well, you've got to say that it's going to be tough for Scott to hold on to 4th when Popsu has been driving so well. He possibly could have won last week. He was involved in a little incident with Scott when battling for the lead, but Popsu's really coming on strong in these last few races. He looks like the only other driver that's capable of taking a fight to either Dahidi or Jardier. Interesting to see this. I noticed this in qualifying as well. There's a lot of weaving going on. Like as soon as the cars pulled away from the grid, Dahidi was weaving like he was trying to dodge the smallest slalom you've ever seen.
Yeah, oh look at this. This is some weaving skills right there from the Heidi. So looks very.
I was going to go on board, but I thought we'd get dizzy.
I think you might be right on that one. Hello, by the way, to Lucas and everyone else who's tuned in to watch this round 8 of the season. Even though it's not as many drivers on the grid as we are hoping for and as we've been used to. Only 16. I'm hoping that we can still get an exciting race. A good battle between the Heidi and Jardier, fighting for that championship, and some good battles down throughout the field as well. With all the drivers fighting for whatever points they can get, and of course, when it's only 16 drivers, that means even the guys fighting towards the back of this pack will be fighting for more points than they might be used to. So should be good, but you can see now the drivers forming up into 2x2 formation at the end of the lap, getting ready to start this race around the Hockenheim ring. It'll be down to the Heidi once he gets onto the main straight to decide when to put his foot down to start this race. Then Jardier and everyone else will just have to try and react as as quickly as possible and get on with it. So there we go then. Through the shadows, the Heidi is putting his foot down, and we are underway for an hour-long race here at the Hockenheim ring. Will Jardier be able to stay ahead of Popsu into turn 1? Yes, he will indeed. Good reactions from Jardier. It's always difficult to be second place reacting to first when it's right next to you, but Jardier's done a good job to keep hold of P2. And Popsu is still third. It's side by side actually for P4. Is that Leon the Sick one trying to get a move on Zenny, and it looks like he's done it. Zenny before was out wide a little bit. Scott is challenging him now in 6th place, and then we've got a Lamborghini of Alexis ahead of another Lamborghini of Nagram back there. So a nice clean start of Stevie. I don't think there was any contact that I've seen so far.
No, it all looked pretty clean from what I could see. There was a little bit of 2 or 3 wide back at turn 2, but all seemed well as Scott moves way past Zenny.
Oh my goodness, there's a contact! That's a Lamborghini flying. There's a Mercedes stuck on the apex. There's several drivers off on the runoff there. And that's the last thing we need really when the field is quite small already, to get cars with severe damage and out of this race. It looks like there is definitely that Audi there. Had some big dents to the front, and Alexis has dropped way down the field. And
Alexis was the one that we saw kind of getting bumped about a little bit. I recognised the livery, but other than that, I don't know what the hell happened there.
No, it's hard to say. It's a side-by-side Mercedes battle going into the final sector. It's Berserker, and is that a Desert Pack? No, it's Bo. With Berserker having the upper hand with the inside line at the moment. It's getting twitchy though on the apex, and there's a bit of contact as the Berserker's car suddenly slowed down. Bo didn't expect it. Luckily, they're both carrying on. I hope as many drivers as possible will be able to stay out here without going into the pit lane after damage sustained, but it looks like Fisifan91 at least has gone into the pits, and Alexis has dropped to last and has gone into the pits as well. So, yeah, not ideal. Oh, that's is that Zenny getting out of shape ahead of Scott. So, another slight tap between two drivers, and yeah, it's a top 8 have completely broken away. Oh, sorry, the top 7 are completely broken away from the rest of the field after all that madness that happened at the hairpin.
Absolutely, it's a shame it happens, but it happens. It's racing. At least at the minute, everybody's still in the race. We'll see how many continue. But it's looking as well at the minute that the top 7 aren't really splitting up that much. Admittedly, we've only had one racing lap, but they're still quite close to each other. As King-Kodiak pointed out to me last week, that the little triangle hazard I can see is to say they're within a second of each other, and it's just a big. It's just may as well just be a big triangle because they're all within a second.
It'll be down to you to keep an eye on the triangles, because I cannot see those. But I can see that Colin McCoy and Mr. Van Ommen have actually picked up some kind of a time penalty here early on. Of course, that's 1 second only from Colin McCoy. It's 40 seconds from Mr. Van Ommen. Is that some kind of pit lane infringement? I would have thought, which of course he can appeal that penalty post-race. 40 seconds seems a little bit excessive regardless of what they've done, I would say. So,
absolutely. I'm sure that one might end up in the stewards.
Yeah, I think so. At least if he does finish the race. This is back out on track. Unfortunately, Alexis is not back out on track. He seems to still be in the pit lane, which might spell the end of his race. He's still in the session. We'll see if he stays in. Anyway, has some side-by-side though with Scott and Zenny once again. This time Scott has managed to get past without tapping in the back of Zenny. Of course, it wasn't his fault that he tapped him last time. It was just setting getting out of shape. But this time he's gotten a move done. Zenny though could get some slipstream on the long straight down to the hairpin. Audi versus Mercedes on the straight line. Who's got the upper hand there? Scott certainly feels like he needs to defend going into the hairpin. Ooh, is that Pops, I think, going wide. Further ahead, Scott defending nicely. A little bit of door bagging there. Ooh, Scott closing the door on the exit as well. And Zenny forced to slot in behind with Ironic patiently watching. So this is a battle for 5th, 6th and 7th place. And Scott is very much still under pressure. Zenny wants that place back very quickly indeed. But Scott is having none of it.
Yeah, we've seen in previous rounds, Scott is not afraid to get his elbows out and defend. If you want a position from him, you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's been so consistently up in the post. He's still not had a podium yet, but he's had several 4th and 5th places. Just showing good fighting spirit, and of course needs to have pretty decent pace as well to be up there. But,
absolutely.
He's doing a good job, I must say. Back up to the top 2 though. Jaria still within a second of the Heidi. And based on the pace that we know from these guys, kind of expected to stay like that. You know, Jaria, when he's behind a leader, he's usually manages to put the pressure on and eventually get ahead. But
you're not having enough of this battle.
Yeah, Zenny
Got just ran wide at turn 1, and Zenny's gone, well, thank you very much, I'll take that.
Yeah, I thought that looked very easy, so yeah, I think you're right. Scott must have just ran completely wide there.
Believe it or not, there are 2 cars in front of him there. You can't really see it from this angle. I was hoping you were going to see Mercedes launch up the inside.
Oh, we might still see it. Oh, no, it's braked earlier than Zenny. Oh, Zenny's run wide. Maybe that's why he's braked earlier.
Absolutely nose to tail, this 3.
Yeah, this is what we like to see, of course. Drivers being very close, and different types, 3 different type of cars goes there, which always makes a battle a little bit more, you know, it's the same action, but I mean, it looks cooler when it's 3 different cars.
Absolutely. And it's the same as the lead. The championship lead is currently between a BMW and an Audi.
Yeah.
And the fight for the lead of this race is between an Audi and a BMW.
I think in the 2 first seasons of Project Cars 2, you would not think that we would have a championship fight between different make cars. Of course, it was all Ferrari in those seasons.
Absolutely.
And it's been mostly Audi in this season, but the Heidi clearly showing that the BMW Z4 has got something in it, as Scott is actually now under pressure from Ironic into turn 1.
Was practically pushing him through the final corner there.
Yeah, unfortunate for him that turn 1 is not really a place where you can dive up the inside. he's going to have to try and get a good run out of turn 2, really.
Alexis is in the chat.
Ah. Yeah, Alexis, do you mind giving us a little update on what exactly happened there? Because we just saw some cars flying around at the hairpin. But we didn't really see it in too much detail.
Charlie is closed in under Heidi a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah, wow, less than 3/10 going into the timings at the moment. Nearly in dive bomb territory. Maybe by far within dive bomb territory, according to some drivers, but Dodger deciding against it on that occasion.
We've Heidi so far this season, more often than not, likes the early pit. He likes to get his manager pit done pretty early, and then it's done, and then he can just get on with his race. Interesting how he approaches that from the race lead. He has all clear air in front of him. No one's going to interfere with him unless somebody, you know, the car behind the championship leader decides to have a go at him. But if he pits, he's definitely going to come out in traffic.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I hadn't really considered the mandatory pits up too much, but yeah, of course, we've seen many different strategies on that one throughout the season. Some choosing just to do the normal thing and pit in the middle of the race, but we've also seen a case of people pitting very early or leaving the pits until the very last moment that they can, which is 5 laps before the end of the race. It's certainly a very huge pit stop window. I'm kind of hoping that Eddie Heidi and Jadir will pit at a kind of similar time, so that whatever battle they will be having will be on the track. Let's see here though, Bo in the Mercedes, getting a move potentially on the Lamborghini of Hunter's before. Why both of them got some scratches on the car, probably both were in some way involved in that hairpin accident, but they're having a good battle here. It looks like Bo has managed to get his Mercedes ahead, but Hunter not giving up, slotting straight back into the slipstream, gaining a little bit I think on the straight as well, coming down to the hairpin, which forces Bo to go defensive. Will they be able to get through? Oh, there's a bit of dogbagging in the braking zone as well. But Hunter is sort of backing out of it, or he just couldn't get a car turned in well enough on the outside line.
It looked like there was a little bit of contact between these two at turn 2, and it was kind of like a half a move between. Oh, that looked oversteering. A half a move from Bo, and Hunter was like, "You going? You not?" And then there was a collision. That Bo's livery, by the way, is the one that King-Kodiak says looks like it's already been involved in an incident. Which I can understand. But it's got plenty of little. They look like little circuits on it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this three-way battle seems to have spread out a tiny bit. But it's still pretty close from 5th down to 7th place. Actually seeing from Alexis in the stream chat that, of course, he was involved in that hairpin incident that we saw, which kind of half ruined his race already, but then he had a problem with his pit limiter button, which didn't work, and therefore he got disqualified.
That's unfortunate.
So that is certainly very unfortunate indeed.
Happens, unfortunately. Technical glitches. Much like in real life racing, you don't get mechanical failures in this, but you get all the other stuff.
Yeah, all the equipment.
Name me a real life driver that's disconnected from a real life race. There you go.
And as virtual drivers, we can do much more than the real drivers, disconnections and all. But yeah, remind me, Stevie, since you were part of making the rules, of course. You have to have your mandatory pit stop count. You have to pit after the first racing lap, or can you pit at the end of the first racing lap?
You can pit at the end of the first racing lap if you have damage.
If you have damage, okay. So Mr. Van Ommen...
If you don't have damage, now Mr. Van Ommen, if he can get to the end, he can go to the end now.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yes. Which is kind of why we did it, just to make sure that those that were involved in first lap incidents weren't completely out of the race.
Which actually... Yeah, in that sense, I definitely agree with that rule, because it gives Mr. Van Ommen now a chance to still be in the race, even though he had to pit early.
Yes.
Which, of course, last season would have given him no chance at all, when nobody really pitted unless they absolutely had to.
Absolutely, and that's why we keep to try and give a little bit of strategy and keep people in the race as well. It's not. It doesn't. Okay. You may say it lets people get away with having accidents, but you still have to have the damage repaired. And if you keep doing it and you have to make a secondary pit stop, you're going to be in dire straits.
Yeah. And of course, it you know, it throws away the strategic element that it could have used throughout the race. You know, deciding when to pit depending on his race situation. Now he just has to try and get to the end.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. I'm seeing Venom though is ahead of Nagrom and Nesterovic and Tedespac. Does that mean that those three have also been through the pits?
Nesterovic has just pitted. I saw that a few laps ago. I don't think Nagrom has. I think the Desert Pack has.
Because if Nagrom hasn't, then he's lost 30 seconds somewhere.
Probably he pitted then.
Yeah, I would say so. I would assume that
all
those three have pitted,
I'm
unless they've been
sure
like...
the Desert Pack has pitted.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
Only other alternative is that he's been so far off in the gravel that it's taken him 30 seconds to get back on the track.
I mean, it's happened. I'm not sure where it's happened, but it's happened.
It's probably happened to most drivers, I would say. Especially this game, I think it's quite hard to get out of the gravel.
As it is in real life.
Yeah, you know, it's how it should be, I guess. But in any case,
top two have built a little bit of a gap from Popsy, but he's not too far off. If they have an issue, he's going to be right on them.
Yeah, and Popsy's sort of been the, you know, the best of the rest usually. You know, if you count Jardir and Heidi and previously Storm as sort of the top dogs this season, then Popsy's always been there as the next guy. He's been close to them on various parts. Of course, he did take a pole position. I can't remember, was it Donington where he took pole? Unfortunately, he just fell back in the race. I mean, it's not falling.
Hunter in the pits.
Oh yeah, good spot there. Which means, of course, that already we have had, well, out of the remaining drivers that are still running, 6 drivers that have been through the pits. Let's see where Berserker and Hunter will drop down to. Hunter's gone behind Van Ommen.
Hunter, I think, has got damage. He's because those two were pretty close, I think.
Yeah. Ooh, look at this though. Berserker's rejoining the track just ahead. I think that is Mr. Van Ommen, isn't it? That's just come down in the Audi. It is indeed. Well, they gotta be close. You'd think, you know, Berserker qualified last, didn't he? So you'd think that maybe Van Ommen could have the pace on him, which means maybe we're in for another battle coming up soon.
Hopefully so. Mr. Van Ommen's been in a bit of a battle. Yes, last week I think he started dead last and moved his way up to about 12th. So maybe even higher. He had a pretty good race last week. Vaguely remember.
Yeah, I think Van Ommen though in general this season has not really. Well, he's been. Of course, he's missed 3 races, but he's never been in the top 10. All the races actually done. And if you remember back to last season, Van Ommen was sort of up there in the top 5 quite frequently. So.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh God.
2-second time penalty for the Heidi.
Oh, 2 seconds for the Heidi?
Uh-huh.
That is actually major.
Now he can't afford to just sit in front of Jardier.
Yeah.
Now he has to go. He's got to get more speed. He'll know that. He'll know he'll have 2-second penalty. And I assume at this point Jardier will know he'll have a 2-second penalty.
Will he though? Like, how does the game tell him?
I don't know. Someone in the chat, does the game tell you? Oh, it doesn't really matter.
Look at this!
Right on him.
Yeah, there was another. The Heidi was a bit too much over that sausage curb on the previous corner again, which you know might have given him another warning potentially. But either way, that's put him under pressure. And into the final sector, which luckily for the Heidi is not an easy place to overtake because he's got Jardir right on his back at the moment. It looked comfortable for the first 10 laps of this race, but on lap 11. It's all started to look like it's almost fell apart a little bit, but it's just about managed to recover and defend it. But of course, with a 2-second penalty, I mean, I kind of hope Jardir doesn't know about it, because then Jardir could just chill out within 2 seconds of him all race long.
Hopefully he doesn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's something the crew chief will say, oh, the guy in front's got a penalty, you know. But Jahidi recovered that well, because he was very much under attack in that latter half of the lap. And once you start going offline, you just can't get back onto the racing line. Finally, when he got into the stadium section, it was kind of single file, so we managed to hold. But Jade was quite willing to punish him for whatever mistake he made there.
I think it's a battle between Hunter and Sterovich potentially. I just saw him swapping around. No, never mind. Oh, can we go back to leaders? I think Jade went wide. Oh no. Okay, well he did, but not enough. I was very scared that as we skipped away that we were going to lose a potential overtake for the win, which, of course, I have big experience with losing in the past.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's never happened before.
But yeah, Nasterovich potentially was ahead of Hunter, or he was trying to get ahead, because I definitely saw those names swapping around briefly on the timings. So that's.
I was scared to cut away from the leaders because of what you feared, so I clicked because you said click, and then you screamed and panicked and made me go back.
And on another note, the other battle that we were anticipating is already over because Phenomenus already passed Berserker and pulled away by a second.
Yes. The that triangle has gone. That little hazard triangle. I wonder if this Nasterovich is going to have another go on the Hunter. It's Lamborghini versus Lamborghini, and the Hunter is not really defending that unless he's just going to be super late on the brakes. He's trying to hold it on the outside. You can do it, but Nasterovich with the better grip, the inside line just.
A nice one. Did Nasterovich always drive a Lamborghini? I thought it was in the alley, but maybe I remember from last season. Anyway.
I mean, you've been away for a while. don't worry yourself.
No, but usually I remember Lamborghinis because that's all I look for. That's all I care about.
Do you want some bad news?
Has the Lamborghini crashed?
No. Mary Marvin in the chat says the game will show he got a 2-second penalty, so Jardier knows. But it looks like Jardier doesn't care.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think we know Jardier well enough by now that he wants to get ahead anyway. He enjoys a good battle. He wants to try and make the pass on track.
Absolutely. And that's what we want to see. So come on. Crack on with it.
Chop chop.
Got some side-by-side between Scott and Ironic.
Ooh, and Ironic's got his car ahead into the braking zone for the left-hander, which is unfortunate for him because he was on the right side of the track, and Scott has taken it back with the inside line.
I think it was a lot of the inside line.
Yeah, a lot of the inside line, and Ironic did too much of the outside line, I would argue, as well. So, trying to get back at him, but Scott keeping a nice wide line, keeping momentum through the fast right-hander. And of course, Zenny has completely pulled away from these two. Since, yeah, Zenny, I was preparing for Zenny that was going to fall backwards after his good qualifying when Scott managed to get past him, but he managed to get a position back, and he's put 4 or 3 seconds away from him actually. That's very impressive. And,
now, permanently, the only position that Zenny has lost so far is the one he lost to Leon on that one.
Yeah. But Leon also got a penalty actually. I think that was 2 seconds for him as well. So
yes.
Zenny isn't far away from being you know, penalty-wise in 4th again.
Oh, I'm so scared to cut away from these for a while.
Let's get on board with him maybe a little bit. Just see how Jardier applies himself from the cockpit.
Look at the sun.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah, it's late afternoon here, and the sun isn't too far away from the sunset, which isn't making the driver's sights any easier.
What never ceases to amaze me with this game is it looks stunning.
Yeah.
That wall on the inside of that stadium that has caught me out before, and it'll catch other drivers out. It's awful. It's evil looking wall.
I think for weather visuals, Project CARS 2 is going to nail that.
Absolutely. It's like I remember back in season 3, because my memory's really long, racing here and doing a practice with my teammate at the time, and we made a point that our car, the McLaren at the time, had good door pillars because it blocked the sun at the perfect point in the stadium section.
Yeah.
That was valuable. Everyone else is complaining about the sun, and we didn't have that problem. You don't get that in other sims.
That's a good reason to pick a car. It blocks the sun correctly.
It blocks the sun. As Ironic's in the pits. Maybe he's had enough of trying to get past Scott on in front of him on track.
Yeah, that's interesting strategy, trying to make the undercut in the pit instead. Of course, we don't expect any tire changes or fuel additions in the pit stops. It's just the case of having to get the mandatory stop out of the way at some point. You know, because you do lose, of course, time in the pits if you change your tires, if you add fuel. So I think the usual strategy is to start the race with all the fuel you need, and you know, try to not to ruin your tires too much that you need to change them.
Yeah, it's something that you can do if you want, if you are particularly hard on your tires, or you think a different compound might work for the second half of the race. But it's, you know, it gives a little bit extra strategy. You don't lose quite as much time if you do decide to change tires.
So Ronick has gotten back out in 9th place, which is well ahead of Owen and the other guys that have pitted so far. Is a Bo battling with Colin McCoy potentially?
That's what I'm looking at. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, that's what we're looking at. I was just fixated on the timing, timings there. I didn't even see what was going on with the actual screen. Yeah, so Colin McCoy is in 8th and Bo was in 7th. That's all I had to say about that.
We're running very similar lap times last. Oh, Scott has decided to cover Ironic. He's coming straight in. He does not want to give Ironic any clear air, and that's the response. I've heard drivers complain about the mandatory stop. It ruins the strategy. It means they can just pit and get in clear air. Well, you pit after them, cover them.
Yep.
There's Bo is in as well.
Let's see who's been best out of Scott and Ironic on the pit entry and exit. Of course, there's not too many other factors that decide the pit stop battle here. Let's see, Ironic coming through the first corner, and you can see Scott on the entry, or the exit even on the pit lane. It's going to be slower down the straight, but is far enough ahead to keep the position over Ironic, so the undercut has not worked out for the French driver in the Lamborghini. But they're still close together, which is good for us. That means the battle is probably going to carry on.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that was not what Ironic wanted to see there. No. I've got some clear. Oh no, go away!
He's just there. It's a tense moment for him, just waiting. When he gets around the first corner, will there be a Mercedes there or will there not? And of course, for him, it was right there in front of him.
Top two then, half second apart. It amazes me how competitive these two are. They run so, and same with Popsy last week. They run so fast and so close together. Like there's no one else. The top three are the only three in the top. Easy for me to say. In the 38. Oh no, as I said, that Leander's a 38 right now. And that 6/10 apart, half a second apart, to run so close to another car and do the same lap time. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think Popsy, you could put Popsy in the same speed bracket as us too. Like he can do the same lap times. Look at the last lap. He's done a 38.4, same as Jadier. I think the reason he's 3.5 seconds behind is because the high-end Jadier is able to do those top lap times a little bit more frequently, whereas Popsy probably has a few laps where he doesn't quite nail it.
Absolutely, but flip that on its head to last week, and Popsy, arguably of the top three, looked the fastest for most of the race. He had a little bit of an issue with Scott, as we said, as Zenny comes out just ahead of Scott and Ironic, so he's lost a little bit of time by the looks of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, last week it looked like Popsy, they all broke up a little bit through the pit stops, but last week Popsy certainly was the one that looked the quickest. Whatever the top two handed in lap times wise, Popsy was just a little bit ahead. Unfortunately, he was in third, so he wasn't on track ahead, but in lap time wise, he was so fast.
Totally, yeah, it's just mind-blowing really what these guys, the top level of the game and these cars, what they can do and how close they are. Let's see though, speaking of close, this battle is raging on between Ironic and Scott. Zenny nearly getting dragged into it from having a seemingly slow pit lane venture, but still far enough ahead to be comfortable really, as long as he doesn't make a notable error somewhere.
One who looks a little bit on his own at the minute is Leon, the sick one. He
must be sick of that clean air.
Oh. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably. He's so fed up with cleaner. Is the sick one. Anyway, other than your terrible jokes, welcome back, Fizzy. I'm so scared to look away from these tops.
Yeah.
What I'd like to point out, by the way, that although Alexis has been disqualified, he's still in the race. He's 24 minutes behind Trudeau.
Hey, that's a good indicator for how long the race has gone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The race has been going for just over 24 minutes, which means we're
well, no, because he's 24 minutes behind the guy in 15th. So you've got to add all the other times up.
Oh, no.
You've got at least a minute and 17 seconds for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's probably wrong. Don't chat.
Well, someone in chat can have time for it.
We are now at half race distance.
Lap 18 out of 36 coming to an end as the Heidi is crossing the line, and no change between the front two, the two championship contenders. If this stays like it is, actually, yeah, the Heidi took pole, so he's already closed the gap to Jadier by 1 point. It's 8 points now between these two in the championship. If it stays like this, it's 6 points more for a win than it is for a second place. It'll be down to just the 2 points then. If the Heidi is able to keep Jadier behind, however, if Jadier is able to get ahead, then suddenly it's 14 points instead. So
Heidi still has that 2-second penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I think that could be the crucial part. Oh my goodness, that's a very late braking for Jadier. I thought it was going to hit into the back of the Heidi, but somehow he slowed it down just enough to avoid contact. Yeah, right.
That was amazing that it wasn't contact.
Oh, well, he looked to the inside a little bit, but goes back to the racing line midway through the braking there. Yeah, it's yeah, really the 2-second penalty for the Heidi is actually, that could be really crucial for the championship. A 14-point gap with 2 races to go compared to a 2-point gap is just night and day.
Absolutely. There is something else to consider. We're at half race distance, and I would say, well, I'm going to count. Like 7 or 8 drivers. That was quick counting. Don't shout at me, track. And as King-Kodiak just pointed out, there's a lot of penalties. There's, with half race distance just under to go, if Jadier gets the same penalty,
yeah,
the fight's back on.
But if Jadier knows that he had got a penalty, he might be a little bit more careful with those limits. Just to make sure.
Could just be a little mistake though.
Yeah,
and King-Kodiak also corrects.
Jadier making a mistake? What are you talking about?
No, never. Never.
I think I've seen that maybe once or twice. It doesn't happen often.
Oh, Jadier Heidi was a little bit offline through turn 2. This could be a little move into the hairpin here.
Let's see. Jadier doesn't need to make this move, but if he does it, then he pretty much secures the win. No, the Heidi is changing the direction of his braking, and there's a bit of contact as they get down to the hairpin. The Heidi is staying ahead of that one, but that was a little bit awkward for both drivers. The Heidi looks like he decided very late to not take the racing line, move to the middle of the track. Jadier trying a late braking maneuver, and it's a little bit of touching between the two of them. The Heidi and Jadier both staying alive though to fight another day. As Phenomenon, has he dropped he's dropped 2 places, has Phenomenon. He was in 10th before.
It would appear that is the case.
So Berserker's gotten back into the top 10 with Nagrum in 11. That's without, you know, thinking of any penalties. Berserker and Phenomenon both have some kind of time penalty.
Should we have a look at the time penalties, or is it too scary to look at?
I'll give you 4 seconds.
1, 2,
1 second. And
3.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Phenomenon has his 42 seconds. You'd expect that to be reduced to 2. Or at least to something less than 42. After the race, if he complains about it, but either way, it at least doesn't seem too fast at the moment. It's lost time out of turn 2. And it's now Nagrum putting the pressure on Berserker.
I'm scared to look away from this for too long. Like, it was 6/10 last lap, but that can come down with the slightest mistake. That incident last lap, though, that the Heidi was kind of in the middle of the track, and then he was like, "I'm not defending. Maybe I'm defending. I'm not. I think I'm defending. Oh no!" It was a bit awkward.
Yeah,
that was. But they both survived, and I'm sure Popsy was hoping for a little bit more than a little bump.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if they have another incident on the light, just a little bit bigger, then Popsy could suddenly end up in the mix here. He's certainly close enough to take advantage of any incident that does happen still. 4.3 second the gap from Popsy to the leader. I'm sitting here like, you know, I love Jadir. He's an amazing guy, great driver. Almost hoping that he gets a penalty as well. just even the penalties, and you know, going into the last two races with 2 points between the two championship contenders would be incredible, really. Just for the spectacle of it, and even spectacle. and even if not, just to make, you know, any on-track overtake he does completely decisive for the race result. But
here's the thing: he knows it's close. We all know it's close. Does he want to risk it all going wrong just for the sake of a spectacle?
Yes.
I hope so.
Well, you never know.
He's having a go.
Johnny likes spectacles, I'm sure. Oh, wow, he's going to the other side this time. Braking really late is Johnny. Oh, he's on the outside. Will the Heidi force him out on the exit? Yes, he will. Johnny backing out of that one. Oh, he's giving it a great try there around the outside. It's really hard to pull it off at the hairpin. It has to be said. Oh, but look how close he is. Going to the next zone as well. The Heidi's kind of left the door open a little bit. I'm surprised Johnny didn't try to take it. The Heidi wasn't quite on the racing line, but it was still a big gap on the inside. But I guess the Heidi was late enough on the brakes for it not really to be possible. This is a great battle though. Let's try to forget about that 2 second penalty until the results come up at the end of the race and just...
Jardier's forgotten about the 2 second penalty.
Yeah.
After all we said, he is not relenting one bit.
Let's go into the mind of Jardier, pretend we're all Jardier, and ignore any penalties. Let's just enjoy this battle for what it is.
Oh,
great fight! Oh, never mind. Let's enjoy it for a pit lane. Oh, that's very slow entry. Oh no, he actually looked like it. He looked like he lost the back end a little bit, but I guess he just panic braked a little bit to make sure he didn't speed.
Oh, now it'll be interesting as to what the Heidi does, because Jardier was right on him.
Yeah, he has to respond, surely. Jardier's pace has looked
you would think so.
Better in the last couple of laps. Oh, look at this gaggle.
Now we haven't got the leaders within a tenth of each other. We can look at someone else.
We have one lap to enjoy this one instead. Let's see. So that's the battle for 10th, of course. Berserker in that Mercedes is still hanging on there. Qualified last, but is looking decent here in the top 10. With Nagrom right behind him. And then Mr. Van Ommen, who was previously in 10th, trying to fight back to get it once again. And then, of course, we have Nesterovic now getting back in the fight. And Mr. Van Ommen has gotten completely out of shape, lost his car. And that will end his participation in that battle for the time being.
Oh, it was looking so good, and he's just done a little bit of overset. Amazing that he did. These cars, most of them, have traction control and ABS, and that's GT3. And he's still, you know, you get it wrong, and you will suffer the consequences of severe overset.
Yeah. Let's get a sample of that right now. I think Nagrom, though, is looking to take advantage of Berserker, but let's see
if this guy pits.
This is the big question now. Will the Heidi respond to Jardier going into the pits? Yes, he will. I think that's a smart move. But he still needs to have had a good in-lap, and he still needs to nail the pit entry. He needs to nail the pit exit here.
I want to look away. Oh, he's miles back in a minute. Go back down to here. Here
we go, Nagrom. Fighting for 10th place, challenging Berserker into the hairpin. Will he try to go around the outside? Jardier tried it before, didn't quite pull it off on the Heidi, but his brake really late. He's got... Oh, he's going to stay alongside, is he? On the exit, I think he will. Nagrom is still in 11th technically, but he's right there next to Berserker on the outside now, and that will give him the inside for the next corner. Look at Nesterovic as well, trying to get him up. There's nowhere for him to go at all. Berserker trying to hang on the outside now. Nagrom, can he get his full car ahead? Yes, he will, with a better momentum on the outside line of that corner. Nesterovic nearly losing the car, just like Van Ommen did on the previous lap. That's going to put those two close together again. Let's see, where is Heidi? Where is Jardier? Heidi is still ahead.
It was close by the timings, it looked like, but Heidi stays ahead. Oh, that looked deep into the hairpin. And spitting flame like the coolest thing you've ever seen. That's an MOT failure right there. The oh, that battle was so good. I didn't want to cut away, but I wanted to cut away, but I didn't. I now feel Formula One director's pain.
Really? There's battles in Formula 1?
Every now and again, you know.
Yes. Well, only at the start of races when Kate makes a place. Anyway. Let's see. Master Van Ommen, he looked like he was gonna be given a chance to fight with Nesterovic again after Nesterovic had his moment, but that gap has suddenly increased again, and Nesterovic is right back on Berserker. And that's going to be a move potentially into the hairpin once again. Berserker. Well, this is where it all started for Berserker when he lost out to Nagrom. And it looks like a similar situation as Nesterovic on the outside and half the car ahead. And it's also once again side by side, but this time Berserker out of shape on the traction. Which means Nesterovic's got the job done a little bit easier than what Nagrom had to do.
Strengths and weaknesses of different cars. It looks like the Mercedes is not quite as strong on the brakes as that Lamborghini. That's two Lamborghinis that have passed him the exact same way. Both of them later on the brakes to the outside at the head.
Mercedes are not like that tight hairpin line, it would seem. And Berserker has gone wide. I thought Nesterovic had made a mistake there because he was very suddenly very, very close to Berserker. And he's right there. What? Oh, that's an amazing drift, actually.
10 out of 10 drift points.
It's an incredible save of Berserker. Wow, I was sure certain midway through that slide that it was going to spin straight off the track, but what a save.
That was well held. And that's even more well held with traction control on. Because usually it just kills your power and you're just having to rubbish spin. Look at me talking like I know what I'm on about.
Thanks for Jane.
Thank you. De facto race leader then pops you out at the minute in front of Leon the sick one, but these two still to pit.
Yeah.
These two of the lead cars that have pitted, and they're just not relenting. I think De Hardy must be thinking, please make a mistake. Please just make a mistake. Go away.
That's all De Hardy can really hope for, to be honest.
This is literally De Hardy's race to lose.
Yeah. Well, as it stands, he's lost it already because he needs 2 seconds on him. So yeah, he just needs Jardier to somehow lose a second and a half or more. And I think, I mean, De Hardy, it's not like he can just slow down and like try to do something else than what he's doing. All he can really do is just drive his race, because you know. There's literally no way he can suddenly make Jardier be 2 seconds behind him. All he can do is defend, as he's doing now. Just defend hard. Maybe if he's lucky, they have an incident which isn't his fault that loses Jardier more time than him.
I mean, that's an interesting strategy right there.
Oh, again.
Heidi again likes that kind of middle of the road defense. Like, I'm not going to throw myself to the inside to defend you, because I don't think I'm going to go for it. But I'm just suggesting that perhaps you don't go for it.
Yeah. I think De Hardy needs to find a way to orchestrate an incident that doesn't look like it's his fault. I feel bad sitting here being an AOR admin and encouraging incidents, but I mean, I don't see what other chance De Hardy has here.
I know it's his own fault.
It is.
You know, off tracks, it's okay. Sometimes you might get unfairly treated if you have to avoid an incident, but if you know, most of the time it's your own mistake that's cost you. As Berserker loses another position to Van Ommen. Wow, Nagrom's really gone down the road from this group. He's 6 seconds up the road now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Nagrob's looking strong. To be fair to him, he's in the top 10 of the championship. So, no surprise really that he's pulling a little bit away from these guys who are, well, not in the top 10 of the championship.
This is one of the closest battles we have on track. The other one, I'm sure you're probably sick of seeing, is this one.
Wait, these guys are in the race as well?
You would be surprised.
Never seen this before. Jardy and Hardy, wow. Close together.
The thing is, you look at these lap you look at last lap, and actually the fastest person last lap was Ironic.
Wow.
Fortunately, he's 41 seconds off the lead.
Nah, he can do that. 41
He's
seconds in 9 laps.
He's pitted, but let's show qualifying gaps look kind of big sometimes. This is different.
Definitely. Still waiting for Popsu and Leon the Sick One to make their respective pit stops.
Oh god, I thought they were so close on track. I was like, that the graphic lied to me. It's not. He's a lap down.
Popsu with
that's the Hunter.
The Hunter, yeah. It's not had a good day. Nagrom's teammate? I assume, based on livery. Maybe it's not. Let me check. They are indeed teammates. Makes sense when they both running the same livery.
There you go. Reason explained logic there.
Leon the Sick One, just chilling. He's not seen a car since lap 1, I think.
He's a very lonely race. But he's helping Jardier in the Teams Championship. He's got his wiper on in a dry race.
Surprisingly, he's running Jardier's livery, but it's not in his team, because that is... that is Miss Van Omen.
Oh, never mind.
And it's not... well, I don't blame you for being confused, because Jardier and Miss Van Omen races for Actual Vision Community Racing. Leon the Sick One races for Actual Visions Community Racing.
Oh, now that's not fair.
With an S.
That's not fair.
They are different teams, clearly.
Why has Leon the Sick One got his wiper on? Someone had their wiper on last week and it was insane.
I mean, that's the closest he can get to action in this race, so... Maybe just pretending to battle with his Viper.
I can't remember who it was last week. Somebody did it. Someone had their wiper on. It might have been Scott. Completely dry racing, his wipers go. That's what wipers sound like.
Yes, clearly.
These two still completely inseparable. Although Heidi had a really bad lap last. No, he didn't. He had a really good lap because he did a 37. My bad. I forgot how numbers work.
Yes. Numbers work. Well, sometimes they don't work, to be fair. But yeah. I mean, KK suggesting that Jardier actually has a grappling hook on the Heidi's car, which kind of looks like it's the case. It's been at this distance or closer all race long, but never ahead.
This is the closest battle we have on track as well, and it has been for the entire race. And you'd rather if you were going to have a battle close to the entire race, you'd rather be the race leaders.
Of course.
I wonder if Jardier is just biding his time. He's had a couple of goes, and now he's saying, okay, I'll wait, I'll get you. I'm just going to wait until I know I can get you. Surprise him.
How does one know that one can get one?
Skills. When you're a champion, you know these.
Yeah, okay, that's why I don't know.
Will Jardier be the first back-to-back champion? If he wins it? Let me rephrase that question.
No,
would Jardier?
He would be the second. He would be not only back-to-back champion, he would be the second multi-time champion ever in the 10 seasons. The only other time we've had a multi-time champion and a back-to-back champion would be F1 Masa in season 2, 3 and 4.
I should have known that. I forgot about that. That was a long time ago.
Back in the day, a couple of years ago, that.
It's crazy that this has been going on for so long.
Yeah. Over 3 years now since the first Project CARS game got released.
I mean, it's over 3 years since I've been on AOR. As a staff man.
Yeah.
Now there's a scary thought.
And AOR is still going, surprisingly. Also.
I know. And not without its fair share of breakages on my part.
But yeah, it's cool to see how this GT3 league has grown. I mean, you had drivers coming in and out, top drivers joining, top drivers leaving. Oh, again behind in the middle of the track, and again Jardir behind him in the braking zone.
Jardir was so close to Heidi there, you could see Heidi's brake lights reflecting on Jardir's bump. He's making him work for it. Is he going to go around the outside?
Oh, he's got to try it! Jeez, that's the closest it's been. Just couldn't quite get the traction he needed.
I tell you what's great about this. This is championship contenders scrapping, and it is completely fair.
Yeah.
There's been no shenanigans, no heavy elbowing of the doors or, you know, wheel banging along the straight. It's been completely fair. When De Heide's managed to hold him off, then Jardir has accepted that at this moment he can't get past it.
Until the final lap, when De Heide will try my incident orchestration tactic.
Yes, as Leon pits, De Heide is thinking about how he can defeat Jardir.
Get him to 2 seconds behind him somehow. But yeah, he's done a great job to defend the on-track position, that's for sure.
This is they both know the situation. This is about pride.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got 2 second penalty, but I beat. That's what it is. It's pride, really.
I think I think it'll give De Heide some satisfaction. But I think when he looks at the standings after the race, I think he's gonna curse himself for getting that 2 seconds.
Absolutely. De Heide perfectly placed his car on the apex there. There was no way Jardir was getting a cutback under that.
Yeah, he's got experience with that now. Taking a slightly defensive line into the hairpin and making it work.
This is it though. With the sometimes you need to rock up behind a driver and pass them immediately. The longer you sit behind them, the more they learn where you're stronger. Learn where you're going to make mistakes. Learn where you're going to get a good run. At this point, Jardir has almost probably revealed all his tricks. He can keep trying them, but at this point, De Heide has probably got a reaction for every action that Jardir can throw in. But this will be the 3rd race in a row that Jardir has finished second to De Heide.
I don't know if there are any other tricks he can try, to be honest, because I think it's tried at all the main overtaking spots. He's tried at the hairpin, he's tried at turn 8. And unless De Heide gets a little bit out of shape somewhere, that's sort of the 2 main places you can dive bomb, I would say. Maybe turn 2.
It would be a lunge and a half.
Yeah.
I love that little sequence at turn 2 and 3, that little left-right, right-left. They can take such different lines through it, it's great. Oh, he's definitely close, he's going to have a go. Oh, De Heide really defensive.
De Heide even more defensive this time. A little bit of door banging once again. Jardir sliding on the brakes, but it's too wide. Again, it's just too wide. He's
going to get the better traction though out of that corner.
But is it good enough? You see, yeah, this is very close. De Heide is going to have to defend again, surely. No, Jardir goes back behind him. Wow. Jardir needs to get himself properly on the inside.
Absolutely. And he looked like he was going for it. And then he moved back. King-Kodiak in the track at this point, De Heide knows how many flies are on Jardir's bumper. Pretty much. He is so close.
It's about 208, I'm counting.
I would say less than that.
Now look at all those...
I would say less than that, because most of the flies have hit De Heide because he's been so close.
Is that the livery that is that dirt maybe that's kicking up at the wide part of his bumper with all those black dots on there?
Maybe with De Heide running wide everywhere and cheating because he's got that penalty, so he probably kicked up a load of rubbish.
It's actually the livery that has got black dots.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm saying it's flies anyway. So
okay, we'll go for the flies. Yes, Drew North, you can have a speedo up because you asked so politely. There you go.
You can have a speedo on.
He said, for the benefit of those who are Still learning. Maybe have the speed up for last laps. Of course you can.
Right. I thought you meant the clothing version of the Speedo.
No, not Speedos. No one wants to see you in Speedos. And they want to see me less.
Oh, no, Tony, you're inside, mate! That's outside. You've tried that.
Oh, he was all over the curve on the inside. Maybe this is it. Maybe his plan is to wait for the inside until the last lap.
Yeah.
Like, he'll never expect me to go on the inside.
That's the thing, because Dihadi always defends the middle of the track. There's always a gap on the inside, but maybe Jardier feels like it's going to be too risky. Oh, whoa, he's actually ahead! It didn't look like that, but somehow he's gotten the traction out of turn 8. How has he managed that?
He made Dihadi go a little... Dihadi likes that middle of the road defense, and this time he went a little bit more to the inside. And I think that was it. He just got Dihadi a little bit further offline and managed to get the traction out of it.
Well. Jardier's outside late braking has finally paid off for him. Dihadi not getting the exit that he's managed to get earlier in the race, and Jardier is through into the lead of round 8 of the AOR PC GT3 Tier 1, and Dihadi, I mean, it's not going to be that big a blow because he was going to drop behind him with that 2-second penalty anyway, but it's still going to hurt his pride maybe ever so slightly. It's
been done on track though, and that's what matters. That's what we wanted to see. You don't want to see a decision based off penalties. You want to see it on track.
I think if Jardier is not going to be more than 2 seconds behind Dihadi, we might as well have him ahead on track.
I think part of it was at the hairpin. Dihadi's able to sit on the apex a little bit more and control how good Jardier gets on the power. Here, at that next corner, he wasn't able to do that.
Yeah. Let's see how feisty Dihadi will be then in the final 2.5 laps of this race. If I was Dihadi, I mean, of course he needs to get close enough. He can't just go and lunge it from 100 yards back, but he needs to try something, because that's the only chance for him that Jardier will make a mistake is if they're battling.
Yes, he's, like I said, there's a lot of respect between these two, and I think the gentleman would go, I think you've worked hard enough for it. I have a penalty. Let it be done. The racer, a little different to the gentleman. The racer's like, not happy passing around the outside. Come here. I know I've got a penalty, but that's not the point.
Oh! That was close with the back.
I thought that was Jardier, then I was about to leap off my chair.
Oh man, is that Tudesa?
That is Tudesa back.
Yeah. Tudesa back in the Hunter, the 2 cars that have been lapped.
And Alexis. Many times.
Actually, Hunter has not been lapped anymore because he got unlapped when Hapsu pitted earlier. She's actually just ahead of these guys. So
yep, there is.
2 laps to go then in the race. As it stands, Dihadi, instead of being 2 points behind Jardier in the championship with 2 rounds to go, as he would have hoped going into this race, and at the start of this race, he will, as it stands, be 14 points behind. That's how big a difference is this between finishing first and second. 6 points in it, and of course 6 points dropped for yourself is also 6 points gained for your rivals. Essentially, it's a 12 points battle.
And it is game on for the last 2 rounds.
It's game on. I mean, Dihadi needs to be absolutely on it for the last 2 races. He's got 14 points. If he gets pole and the win in both those races, they'll be on the same points at the end.
Which it would go back to Dihadi because he has 1 more race. He's won 3 at the minute.
Yeah, Dihadi won 3.
Jardi's only won 1 race this season,
which is quite crazy to say considering how we did last season, actually. But he's on for his second.
But what's kept Jardier in this championship?
Oh, look at this!
That's very close.
There's a lap to go. And Jardier, for whatever reason, lost a couple of tenths to that final couple of corners.
Oh, don't try that there. That's
don't let me to tell one.
You only get killing Felipe Massa if you do that.
Yes.
Kevin.
Massa killed himself. Anyway, that's close.
Catherine, I would cut away, but this is the closest battle we have on track, and it's for the lead.
Yeah. So let's stay with this until the end, and we can see if we can catch some of the other battles after these guys across the line. At the end of the race, this is the Heidi's potentially final chance. He needs to do something at the hairpin, but it's not quite close enough. He was closer out of turn 2 than he was going into the hairpin, to be honest. So maybe the Audi's better in the straight line, for all I know. But either way, it's not looking
I've got
good.
traffic though.
Yeah, maybe the Hunter could be
mind.
the deciding factor for John to make a mistake, and he's not. He's killed some cones though. And Hunter can't lose too much time because Tudesa back is back there. But either way,
once we've covered these two, we're going to cut to Zenny and Ironic because they have just flashed up on the screen as well.
Yeah, that's about the 5th place.
Racing
For
more
still.
scraps.
Oh, that's hard on the cap for the Heidi. A little bit of oversteer for him. 1 sector to go. Jadier just needs to get it home, and he will look like the favourite to take home a 2nd consecutive AOR title as he rounds the final corner to win round 8 of the AOR PC GT3 Tier 1 in Season 10. The Heidi follows him home after a great battle. They were never separated by more than a second all race long. Fantastic stuff between the two championship contenders. But a big step in the right direction for Jadier, taking his 2nd win of the season. Popsu comes home in 3rd, quite lonely for him in the end. And then Leon the Sick One, who had the loneliest race of all, in 4th position. Still some great points for him. Then Zenny will hold on from Ironic. He pulled the gap there on the final lap to take 5th place in this race. Ironic in 6th in the Lamborghini. Scott dropped behind Ironic in the end and will finish in 7th. Then Bo, Scott's teammate, will make it a strong double finish though for that team, which I forgot the name of, AMG Falcon. Good team finish for them with 7th and 8th place. And then Cole McCoy, which 9th place for him. I'm pretty sure that's his best result of the season. He is by far actually. He's had 13th, that's the best previously. His first top 10. Nesterovic as well has gotten some decent points on the board, although he's finished higher in the past. Nagrom 11th place. That Lamborghini. Manoman was a little bit up and down from 10th down to 13th, but in the end it's 12th place for the veteran Dutchman. Then Berserker was in the top 10 at times in the race, dropped down a little bit, didn't quite have the pace of the 3 that passed him, and that's him in 13th. Actually no, well, of course, the Phenomenon dropping down to 13th with that 42-second penalty that would probably get reduced. As we're seeing some post-race action, as we always do. This is a great battle side by side between two Audis, but unfortunately it's stationary.
I'm glad to point out as well, we lost 1 driver today.
Well, I'm glad that we lost to 1 driver, but
it was only 1. Everybody else, even though they had that accident start, they all stayed.
Important distinction. We are not glad that we lost the 1 driver.
Yes.
We are glad that we lost only 1 driver.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So yeah, Jadier and the Heidi separated by 2.3 seconds technically in the end because of the Heidi's 2-second penalty then, which could prove to be championship decisive really. The fact that
the Heidi the fastest lap by 1,000th over Jadier.
Whoa, that's crazy. Wow, that just shows how close these guys are. Ridiculous, and in different cars as well. Absolutely insane championship duel between these two drivers. Incredible stuff. And then Popsu with another podium to add to his tally. And you can see the rest of them we've already gone through. The ones that were lapped was the Hunter and Tedesback in the end, and of course, as you mentioned, Alexis, the one who didn't finish the race, being unlucky with his pit limiter after going in at the end of lap 1.
Shall we speak to the driver we have in the ready to speak to us area?
Yep, you can drag him in here. Let's speak to the race winner, which is Jadier.
Yes! Oh, Jesus.
Holy moly. You seem relatively pleased.
See, that alone is a reason why you go racing and why we set the leagues up, because that's amazing.
I heard Fizzy went crazy.
Well, not as crazy as that, but
I hope you enjoyed the overtake. I must have my hat off for the Heidi for absolutely amazing race, because he was absolutely on super pace and literally he didn't give me any chance for overtake. Only once.
Did you?
Well, he certainly tried several times.
You know he had a penalty, right? You could have just
Of course.
sat behind him. Wasn't a fan of that idea. Wanted to get him on track.
Well, I knew he is a penalty, and I knew I am on a better pace, so I could do anything I wanted, you know. I could have just stayed behind him, but I really prefer racing on a racetrack than after the race, you know.
Absolutely. There was a couple of little incidents down at the hairpin. One, a little bit of wheel banging.
Yeah,
okay,
there was. Yeah, there was some of. I don't think it was anything like too much or something. I was like twice. The Heidi was a little bit like on the brakes. I don't like when people move on the brakes, you know, just before the corner. And he did it twice, and I couldn't brake too much, you know. So I just like little bit of touch him. I let him go after that. So he just know I'm sorry for that. And after that, after the hairpin, we had a little bit of scramble there. But I think it was everything by the rules. We are just, you know, trying to leave each other just enough space just to touch the mirrors.
Fizzy was screaming at you to take the inside at the hairpin. Why didn't you listen to his advice?
Well, I had no chance there because like I literally had zero chances for a hairpin. Maybe if I would dive bomb like crazy, I could, but that would end up maybe in a crash. But I really had to pay attention because the Heidi was really using like a handbrake in a hairpin. That was really like I had to be very patient for him not to touch him. I didn't want to spin him. I didn't want to crash him or anything. So the hairpin wasn't a good place for me. I think the corner after the hairpin was my strongest part.
Yeah, it's well, in hindsight, it's clearly the right choice that you made, not going for anything crazy at the hairpin. Of course, you knew about the Heidi's penalty, I assume, throughout the race?
Oh yeah. I was just counting on that. I really wanted to overtake him on a racetrack, just to make it like racy,
Yeah, and we're glad you did.
Yeah. we were hoping you were gonna do it on the track.
Yeah.
The only other, the sad news, of course, is although you won and it was a great overtake and you drove a brilliant race, De Heidi did get fastest lap by 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed.
Don't swear!
It's absolutely outrageous.
Take it to the studs. Yeah. But yeah, what a race. It's incredible to see just how close you two are, and in the championship as well. Of course, you're going to have a 14-point lead now. It was a really big step for the championship to win this race for you, because alternatively, if he had won with a pole point as well, he would have been 2 points behind you, and now we're going to be 14 points ahead. Yeah,
I feel much better now. But I assume it's going to be fighting till the end. Next race, I think we are racing in the rain, so it's going to be kind of interesting. So yeah. I think I'm kind of very strong in the rain, but we will see. We'll see.
Only one final question for you. How many liters of sweat is below your chair right now?
Oh man, everything. I lost like 5 kilograms.
Man, it's like a real racing driver. More even. Well, that's shows that esports is no joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course, it's not sitting by the computer,
This is
it's not just that. It's not just that.
Alright, man. Well, it's been great to speak to you as always, Jadier.
Thank you, guys.
Well done on the win. Well done in the overtake, and we will look forward to your battle with the Heidi in the last couple of races.
Yeah, looking forward for the next one. Thanks, guys.
Alright, cheers, mate. Whew. Okay. Doesn't seem like anyone else wanted to talk to us, but I don't blame them.
Nearly all of them have gone.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. It really is. Yes, Franco Joes, I am in the stream. But now the stream has to end, I'm afraid. Don't think there's too much more we can say to make this interesting.
I'd like to point out I was looking forward to watching the stream, and then I ended up being on it.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, good thing you're always ready to help.
Last resort.
Last resort. That is always asked first for some reason. I don't know how that works, but anyway. Yeah. To round off, as usual, just big thanks to. Oh yeah, just to answer Pat Mox's question in the chat quickly. Storm is indeed off. He had to pull out of the championship for personal reasons, I think. So yeah, it's a two-way fight between the Heidi and Jadier till the end. Championship-wise, well, for first anyway, I'm sure there's other championship battles going on, which we'll touch on next week when we've seen the updated standings. But yeah, the main story is at the top of the championship. 14 points from Jadier down to the Heidi. Still not out of the Heidi's hands. If he gets pole and a win in the last 2 weeks, he will win the championship regardless of what Jadier does on count back of wins, which is quite insane. So Jadier knows what he needs to do. Let's see if we can do, if he can do it in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, thanks to everyone who has tuned in for this live stream. Hope you've enjoyed it once again, and hope you will join us again for the last 2 weeks. Thanks to you, Stevie, for stepping in for KK and joining me, having a good time.
Any time. I mean, it was really inconvenient actually because I was really busy, but I've given up my Wednesday once again, and quite willing to come and sit and talk. The past couple of weeks, chatting with KK, it's been great, and I've got an evening with you, and it's also been great. I am cheating on both of you with each other.
Yeah, can't be mad at that. Yeah. Thanks to all the coordinators who helped run the leagues. Thanks to all the drivers who put on the show. Thanks to Elgato Gaming for being the stream sponsor for AOR. And on that note, we shall end the stream. Hope you tune in for next week's race. Actually, let's quickly see what track that is on. Next week's race, run 9, is at Sugo, actually.
Okay.
According to the calendar that you made.
I didn't know. Bye.
Okay, bye. Sugo next week. First time ever in the leagues, I think. I've never seen a race there. Let's see if it's gonna be good. Join us then, and good night.